Alright, hello everybody. I want to make a video about ethics. You have all these corporations out there, they have their ethics. And so that's what I want to do. Um, and Maybe I want to start out by saying that I think I want this to be a non-profit company. I don't know the law, so we need to figure that out. But what I mean by that is, if like I want to make these movies and then just send them out there for free to people for them to watch. And if they like them, then they can send money, right? And if we get money, all that money will be going towards the artists who created it. Rather than like I worked with this guy one time. We were in a factory, terrible working conditions, and he worked there, but his night job was a makeup artist, right? He was a makeup artist, but he's not making enough as a makeup artist, so he needs a second job. Or maybe he was props. I don't know. I forgot. Anyways, yeah. So all the money will be going towards the creators. If they like our stuff, they can give us money, and it'll all be going towards the artists. um, so that's the first thing. But number one at the top of the ethics of Ebach Productions is going to be humility. Now, a lot of people don't understand humility nor pride nowadays. They think of humility and they think meekness, and they think of pride and they think of arrogance, because of the brilliance of our dictionaries nowadays that give us synonyms rather than definitions. Um, but that's not the case, right? Humility is to see properly. It is it is to see properly, and pride is to not see properly. It's the opposite. So you do not see properly when you're prideful, and you see properly when you're humble. Um, Now, I guess I'll talk about my history as a writer. So I started with my dad when he taught my older brother and I English grammar. And what I did after that, or what I did during that, was I started playing around with the words. And that allowed me to learn it because when my dad sat us down and said, he didn't trust the public schools, so he sat us down and he was like, I'm going to teach you guys English grammar. I was kind of frightened, because I was younger than this, and there was a science project or science contest for my school, and my dad enrolled me into this science fair contest, and he ended up teaching us or me about yeast, right? And making wine, I think it was. I don't know, but he had some little project that he created for me. And I'm a slow learner. My dad's very scientific in his mind. I'm more imaginative. Um, but I've always been a slow learner. I'm a slow reader. But I like to think of myself as the current rather than the exciting little wave. Um, Plus, I was nervous. I was like young, and my dad was like just throwing all this shit at me, and I was like, what? And anyways, he got frustrated with me. I think it was the day that the spaceship exploded, the Challenger maybe. I was young, and but that day he was trying to I think he had given up trying to teach me, and he was just trying to get me to memorize the words to say to the judges. But he was so frustrated with me that there was this glass of grape yeast, and he was just so angry, and he just tossed it in my face. Um, so I had that experience to go with, so I was like all nervous. But well, he got this English grammar book. You know, if it's a book that's published, he treats it as it's infallible. Um, and anyways, he started teaching us lesson by lesson. And what I did was I started playing around with the words. You know, I'd take a prepositional phrase, and what I was doing was I wasn't even writing a lot of the times. So people think of writing and they think, blah, 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 but I wasn't doing that. I was doing it all in my head a lot of the times, and I continued to do it through in my head throughout a lot of my life. Um, so I say I love writing, but you know, until recently I've been just like writing a lot. But until recently I've been writing a lot. I've just loved words. And so what I do is I'd take a prepositional phrase and I'd move it around the sentence. You know, and I'd just see how it sounds, kind of like a musician. Um, and anyways, after that, anytime I would write anything after that, my teachers would just like come up to me and just praise my writings, and not just my teachers, anybody who had read my stuff would just praise my writings. And I'm not a kiss ass for the teachers, and I used to look on them with disgust. But the teachers would be coming up to me and be like, "Oh, this is great stuff," you know, or my grandpa or somebody. Um, and I had this teacher one time. She was an English teacher. A lot of the kids called her a witch, you know, but not in a bad way, because she was like a good witch. But they said it as if you know she actually had witch powers, and I think she totally did, but not bad witch stuff, but good witch stuff. Anyways, she loved language, and she loved writing, and she's just you could tell just she desperately wanted to like convey her love for writing to the other students. So she was a beautiful teacher, and I went there one time, or like when I first moved to that school, because my dad moved us around a lot. I first moved to that school. She came up to the class and she was like, "No, tell us. I want you to write something and tell us an experience that you've had. But don't you don't have to be specific about it. Just tell us that experience, you know." And she was giving us this assignment, and I knew what she was doing. Right? It was I don't know. I'm more of an artist rather than a scientist. But it was just the emotion of the word, right? Um, but you know, I knew what she was doing, so I did it, and like, she singled me out, and she had me walk in front of the class, and I'm all afraid of public speaking, and she tells me to read my stuff in front of everybody, you know. Um, but she was fun. But one day she had us write a book report, and I didn't want to read any books at the time. I'd rather watch TV or something. So I chose A Tale of Two Cities, and like I started it out by saying it was the best of books, it was the worst of books, it was a book of whatever, it was a book of whatever, you know. I went to the library and I just flipped around and I wrote, and I flipped and wrote and flipped and wrote. And I ended it with, it was a far, far better book that I have read than I have ever read. Anyways, she gave me 110% on the assignment. She loved it so much. And so I take this home to my parents, and I, show it to them. And I'm like, yeah, I got 110%. Ha ha ha. Like, woo. My mom was all like, ooh, yeah, good job, 110%. My dad comes home, and my dad's like a very intelligent man, but he's working at these jobs that are like, just like all the rest of the jobs, torturing him and giving him a hard time. So he's just getting off work, right? And uh, so he's just getting off work, and my mom shows him this paper. I got 110%. And he grabs it and starts looking at it, and I'm like, holy shit. Because by this point in time in my writing career, I had moved past English grammar, right? And he comes home in a bad mood, but I could just feel like just this heavy weight coming down inside the room as he's reading my thing. And eventually he gets out a pen, like a red pen, and he just starts marking everything out. And again, he's more the scientist, so like, I used to know what a gerund was, and I've completely forgot what a gerund is. So I'm more the artist rather than the scientist. But my dad remembers all this English grammar, and so he's just getting out this red pen and just marking the hell out of this thing. And so he gets pissed, and I was kind of mortified, because this was I love this teacher. She knew what she was doing too. Like she, I mean, it was like I kind of pitied my dad, because he didn't understand. But he did understand, because he understood the grammar of it all. Um, and so he just starts marking this thing up, and I'm like, good job, Dad. You remember your stuff, and and I probably knew more of my stuff at the time than I do now. Um, but he marked the hell out of this shit, and at this point in time, he just pulls us out of public schools and starts to homeschool us, because he's just like, these public schools aren't teaching you kids crap, blah 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 blah. Very concerned about us and everything. So he starts homeschooling us, and we get involved in this, like he's a Catholic. I'm not a Catholic anymore. To his horror, probably, but. And so he puts us in this, like, very strict, Nazi-like Catholic program called Seton. And they do a terrible job, because they just throw too much information at you and give you a busy mind rather than a contemplative, meditative mind. Uh, it's like they want you to sound smart rather than be smart, like so much of the shit out there nowadays. But anyways, so I'm going to the Seton school, and the English teacher that I had, she had me write a piece of paper on what I want for my future. And so I'm like, okay, I can do this, and I sit down and I start talking about what I want for my future. And the thing that I wrote was basically, I describe where I'm at right now and where I want to be. And and of course, my former English teacher would have loved what I put down. She totally would have loved it. And I basically start talking about, like, I'm in a prison and I want to escape the prison and be free, basically. And it's just like all dramatic and just like some good stuff, right? And so I sent it in, and then they send us back our stuff in a manila envelope, and then it's graded. And so every time a manila envelope came back, I would run to it and be like, like, I'm waiting for my praise, like I like I usually get, right? And finally, it came one day, and I look at it, and at the top of the paper, it says it's a C, right? And I'm like, what the fuck? A C? How the fuck does this brilliant shit get a C, right? And and I was thinking about this recently, and it was kind of brilliant what she did. I didn't realize it till I thought about it, but I, I I go to the end, and then she has her little um, talk about my paper, and so there's like a paragraph there, or like almost a paragraph of her, and she's like praising my stuff, right? She's like, "Oh, this is very imaginative, da 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 da," and I'm like, "Okay, bitch, you're praising my stuff, but you gave me a C. Why the fuck did you give me? Why the fuck you praising my stuff if you gave me a C, right?" But her last line was, "But it was glib," right? And so I was pissed. I was like, "What the fuck?" And so I went to a dictionary and I looked up the word glib, and then I reread my paper, and I realized she was right. Because I never answered the question. Um, and she was kind of being glib in her response, right? That was the funny thing. I don't know if she meant to do that on purpose, or she was just trying to like not hurt my feelings or whatever. But it was glib, right? And what I realized at that point is the true nature of writer's pride, right? And it was a beautiful lesson to me because writer's pride has nothing to do with emotions, right? I still have passion for my writing. um, I just copied down a story I'd written a long time ago, and it was very convoluted because I couldn't keep track of it in my head when I was writing. I was like really tired. But at times there was some bad writing in it. It's just, but that's okay. It's like what the hell. I can write bad every now and then. um, you know, uh, there might be some writers out there who want to kill writer's pride, but in killing writer's pride, they kill their own passion for writing. And don't do that. Sometimes when I'm writing, I'm like talking about how I'm the greatest writer ever, but I don't believe that, right? But it's fun to feel that when you're writing. Um, I mean, humility can be mean sometimes, or it can feel mean, right? But you gotta mature yourself up. You gotta be more mature. And like for me, I want to focus on the final product, right? I want to focus on the final story. And it's not about me or my stuff, right? So if you read my stuff and there's something in there that you want to edit, then go for it. We need to be able to talk maturely to each other without being worried about hurting each other's feelings. We need that Simon Cowell voice within. Um, after all this happened, the way I view writing in my own head is that there's a voice of reason in my head or understanding, and there's also a voice of imagination. And so I've got two voices in my head: understanding and imagination. And what I do is I put understanding in the seat of the writing, you know, and imagination's behind. He's like, hey, do this, do that, do this, do that, and my understanding is just like, hey, shut up every now and then. Let me do this. But yeah, so humility is what I want for Ebok Productions, Ibok Productions. Um, let's see. You know what? If I come up with anything else, I'll put it on there.